All right, so more news on Justin Trudeau. It's always entertaining to go into these stories, mostly because, well, I mean, the guy, I can't imagine he knows how to put on his own shoes. You know, Sophie probably sings him lullabies to get to sleep at night, thinking about all the money and pay for play and all that kind of stuff. He has a lot on his little tiny mind, so he needs to get little lullabies from his wife and maybe she'll buy him a new pair of socks if he's good. Anyway, as this article from, I think, Montreal blog, mtlblog.com says, new poll shows Trudeau will likely lose to Conservatives in upcoming elections. And as we've gone into before, I mean, Justin Trudeau is losing massive amounts of support, massive female support, massive support across the board. And a lot of people are looking at Andrew Scheer and a lot of people at Maxime Bernier. Anyway, let's look at this article here. As the article goes into, with all the drama of the SNC-Lavalin scandal, it's not actually surprising that more and more Canadians are looking outside the Liberal Party for future federal governance. And in recent national poll done by Campaign Research, 43% believe the Liberal government has done a bad job of dealing with the aftermath and are now leaning towards the Conservatives for leadership. See a breakdown of numbers in the tweet below. And going down here, you got the numbers here. Polling Canada, federal polling, CPC 36%, LPC 30%, NDP 16%, GPC 10%, Bloc Québécois 4%, and People's Party 2%. I'm not entirely sure about that. That seems like a strange poll. But nonetheless, that's what Polling Canada got. I can't see the People's Party of Canada being that low. But anyway, as we go on here, we are in an election year, so when approval ratings jump around as they have been, it's worth taking notice, as it could indicate how the country is going to vote when presented with a ballot. And if the election were to happen tomorrow, it looks like we would end up with a Conservative minority, which could mean someone, Andrew Scheer, as Prime Minister. Again, could mean someone, Andrew Scheer. That's a weird sentence. Lots of typos in these. Anyway, I mentioned Scheer because of the support he has across the prairies, which is where most of the Conservative support is seen in this most recent poll. And I continue here. According to a Campaign Research, the divide in support between the Liberals and the Conservatives is seemingly along geographical lines, with Atlantic Canada and Quebec continuing to maintain confidence in the Liberals. However, everything west of La Belle Province, including Ontario and BC, is presenting increased confidence in the Conservatives. Andrew Scheer in particular is showing an increased approval rating, up 3% to 19% this month. And even more interesting is that Judy Wilson-Raybould continues to hold the highest approval rating when compared to the three main party leaders, Trudeau, Scheer, and Singh. I think I know where this is going. Where Trudeau may have held a 41% approval rating in November, he's now sitting at a 31%. Wilson-Raybould, in comparison, holds a 45% approval rating with Canadians who appreciate the job she is doing as a member of Parliament and former Attorney General. These numbers are, of course, based off of those respondents who were decided in their voting intentions. Now, the thing is, we can never trust polls. Let's be honest here. I mean, I like to think that most people don't like Justin Trudeau, but then I also see the comments on some of my videos. It's like, whoa, man. And then comments on the other side that are over the top, too. Look, the answer is in politics. Cancer doesn't cure cancer. Government doesn't cure government. I've gone over this a million times. Collectivism begets collectivism. You can cut 95% of the tumor off and leave 5%, but that 5% will grow. I'm getting really sick and tired of having to repeat myself when it comes to the fact that we cannot trust government to fix the problems of government. And it's like, blame everything on the Liberals, then blame everything on the Conservatives, then blame everything on the Liberals again. Andrew Scheer is like a total liberal, by the way. He is a leftist. If you actually look at his policies, they're such milquetoast, watered down, as Tim Owen, the leader of the Libertarian Party, went into in an interview with me recently, who's actually consistent and isn't actually doing it to win, but actually doing it to be able to spread a message and stay consistent in his principles. And there's something really wrong with the populists just repeating themselves like Groundhog Day over and over again. They don't know how to be consistent. The vast majority of people repeat history over and over again. I don't like this guy. He's mean and stupid and dumb and blah, blah, blah. Let's go to this next person. Look, Trudeau's a terrible person. Trudeau's done terrible things. SNC-Lavalin is a great example of one of many, and it's tiny in comparison to all the controversies that he's involved in and the fact that he's an organized crime boss to begin with. But you don't replace an organized crime boss with another organized crime boss and think the crime is going to end. It won't. It'll continue. It'll continue and perpetuate forever. This is a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity. So what can be done? Well, I think people should look at themselves as individuals, start repeating history over and over again, be self-sustainable, financially responsible in general, because after all, responsibility is the hallmark of freedom itself. That's all freedom is, responsibility. You do not designate freedom. You do not regulate freedom. You don't legislate freedom. Freedom is something that it doesn't necessarily come from within, but it is enforced as an individual from within. You defend yourself against incoming threats and the government, organized crime, robbers on the streets. You decide when to give in and when to defend yourself, and that's up to you as individuals. But begging government to solve your problems won't do anything for you and will only perpetuate this madness forever, as we've seen going back to ancient Greece. It never ends. It's just this constant need to beg government for help. And good ideas don't require force. You cannot force other people to live by your rules. It's not moral, it's not logical, it's not sustainable. Free markets, individual demand on the market is far more sustainable and innovative and constructive and peaceful than having this organized crime racket that kills millions of people, legislate what's right and wrong. It's absurd. So I'm not saying no government. I'm saying no enforced government, coercive rule. People can have their voluntary governance structures and everything, but don't force me to give away half of my money, more than half of my money, 65% of my money in many cases in Canada on average, where we are so taxed to death. And taxation is theft, folks. They're extorting you to pay off the interest on the debt at the creation of currency at the central bank, which has nothing to do with even the politicians. It's just designated or legalized by the politicians through legal tender laws. And at the same time, you have all these regulations and taxes pushing small businesses out of the markets, propping up major monopolies. It's a horrible thing, and it just perpetuates forever, and it'll never end as long as we keep going, like clockwork. Well, this politician sucks, so maybe another politician will help us. Oh, that guy's nice. Oh, that guy seems to want change and stuff. What campaign has ever been run where it isn't about quote-unquote change? Maybe the change that people are truly looking for is not within the governance structures of the world, these coercive organized crime cartels. Perhaps that change comes from within, and you're looking outside instead of within for help. It's often what you see with drug addicts and alcoholics, many religions across the board. People are looking outside instead of within in order to solve their problems, because they'd rather be dependent and feel comfortable in their complacency and apathy and laziness than actually look for the root of the problems and solve them as individuals. And that is such a huge problem going forward. So we need to solve that, folks. And also there's blockchain alternatives that are decentralized, properly fundamentally useful, that can replace all these things that we call government and banks. And someday it'll unwittingly replace all this, and people won't even realize. It doesn't matter if we're all in agreement. We will all realize one day that, hey, there's no government. What happened is we can do an incremental frog boil for the sake of convenience, just like the tyrants can use the same tactic against us. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.